Hello, welcome to our Yin and Restorative Yoga practice. My name is Michelle Chua. And for this practice, you want to have quite a few props around just in case. A blanket, a pillow or bolster, 2 blocks, a strap, and any other additional props that you might think will be useful. Let's start in any comfortable seated position that works for you, that allows you to ground, to mentally, physically arrive where you can feel that your body is relaxed, your spine is tall, and take a moment to settle in. As I was talking before this recording began to our live community, that I just got back from a few days in training in meditation as well as Reiki. And I wanted to share a little bit about the meditation part since I was staying at the Krishnamurti Center. This is from the book Meditations by Krishnamurti. As some of you might know, he was an Indian philosopher who, by the time that he passed away in the late 80s, he was living in Ojai. And that's where I was staying on this training. So he talked a lot about meditation being something that you are in the state of, that you cultivate the state of in your daily life, not necessarily sitting down and saying, I'm going to meditate. And that can be different from what we've been practicing. However, what isn't different, which is very similar or in alignment to the yoga practice, is in the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga, there is a practice called svadhyaya. And svadhyaya is Sanskrit for self-study. And this is where we practice observing ourselves and the way we do things, the thoughts that come up throughout our daily lives, not just when we're sitting in meditation or practicing yoga. It's cultivating self-awareness. And like we do in mindfulness practice, it's practicing non-judging observation, which I talked about yesterday, and I'm going to continue to talk about throughout this week and encourage you to practice as you're moving through your physical postures. Okay, so here's a short excerpt from the book. Meditation is one of the greatest arts in life, perhaps the greatest, and one cannot possibly learn it from anybody. That is the beauty of it. It has no technique and therefore no authority. When you learn about yourself, watch the way you walk, how you eat, what you say, the gossip, the hate, the jealousy. If you are aware of all that in yourself without any choice, that is part of meditation. So meditation can take place when you are sitting in a bus or walking in the woods full of light and shadows, or listening to the singing of birds, or looking at the face of your wife or a child. I love how he points out that our practice is meant to be continued outside of the formal practice. It's a lifestyle. Yoga is a way of moving about the world. It's being conscious of how we show up. It's being conscious of what's happening inside of us, not only physically, our emotional reactions to things, our relationship to our thoughts, our relationship to what's going on. So with that, I invite you into that neutral witness, that cultivating that awareness of what's happening inside of me right now. Let's start by checking in. Beginning to notice sensations arising or having sustained in your physical body, any kinds of sensations. If you notice your judgment mind beginning to like or dislike, reject or praise particular sensations, I invite you to take a step back, sort of like you're panning out the camera perspective, and observe that. Observe the judging mind when it arises too. sensing what you're feeling in your physical body. Notice if you can feel the movement of the breath without having to do anything to the breath. Allow yourself to become more curious of what you're observing, sensing the quality of energy you have at this moment. What do you notice about your mind, your attention? How you are relating to thoughts arising or external stimuli around you. What is your emotional state? Kinds of emotions are moving through you right now. As you continue observing, allow the breath to deepen, filling up, letting go, filling up a little slower, and emptying a little slower. Continue to lengthen your breath a little more each time. And I invite you to open your practice with a thought of gratitude, acknowledging something that you're grateful for in this moment. Sensing the energy of gratitude. Bringing that into your intention setting. What would you like to cultivate? What quality would you like to play with in this practice today, and perhaps continue after the practice? And let's open our perspective a little wider, moving beyond ourselves. Think of someone or a group of someones that you would like to dedicate your practice to today. A way of extending loving kindness to another. And together, let's join our voices in support of each other, chanting Om 3 times. Inhale a little deeper. Let's continue to slow the breath down, beginning to practice a breathing technique called Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing, which allows us to help balance our energy and create a calmness, steady focus in the mind and the body. So to practice it, closing your lips, softly narrow the back of your throat and continue to lengthen your breath evenly in and out, all through the nose, while creating a soft and gentle whispering sound. As you listen to the sound, it allows you to be present in your body and to regulate your energy continuously. See if you can keep that slow and steady rhythm going through much of our asana or physical yoga. And we'll start to move to that breath by coming down onto hands and knees. So I thought today that we practice quite a bit on opening the hips in different directions. So let's start to warm up that region. Spread your fingers at the top of your mat. Stack the shoulders on top of the wrists. Step the knees a cup right below the hips. And inhale, stretch your right leg behind you. Give it a little cow pose. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, look up, stretch the front of the spine. Exhale, round the back, bending the right knee towards the chest or the chin. Inhale, extend through the front of your body, straighten the right leg, look up. Exhale, round the back, bending the right knee towards your chin. Keep going, maybe another 3 cycles of breath, flexion and extension of the spine. Let your hands feel as if you're pressing the ground away from you throughout both movements. So that instead of collapsing the weight into your wrists or your shoulders, you're rooting down to rise up and you're creating more space in your wrist and shoulder joints. And after the last contraction, bend your right knee and start to rotate the right thigh bone outward in a circle, back inward towards the belly. Go in different directions here, just feeling out the different directions that your right thigh bone moves at your right hip socket. Connecting the movement to a slowly paced breath. You could even land the right toes on the floor, tucking the toes with the right leg straight, and give a little movement back and forth. A slow, gentle movement to stretch into the right calf and Achilles tendon region. Make sure that you're not dumping your belly downward here. You're lifting the navel towards the spine, giving your lower back support. Couple more breaths. Set the right knee down. Come to sit on your calves or on a block in between your ankles or 2 blocks between the ankles. And bring the hands behind you to interlace your fingers. Let's give the inner shoulders a stretch before we go on to the second side. Imagine you're hugging a golf ball right between your elbows. And then stretch your wrists over to the outside of your right hip, so that we're opening up the left inner shoulder, and drop your right ear down to your right shoulder. And then seal the bottom of your front ribs into the back of your body, bringing the frontal hip bone slightly upward so the tailbone directs down. Lift up from the pelvis so the lower back is lengthening. Just another 3 deep breaths here, relaxing your jaw. Soften your tongue, relaxing your eyes. 1 more deep breath. Come back to center. Release the arms and gently roll out your shoulders or maybe shake out your hands. Let's take a deep lion's breath. Inhale through the nose, fill up. Open the mouth wide. Stick out the tongue, release any sound. All right, let's switch the interlacing of the thumb and the index finger behind you. If you can, hug the heels of your palms together. Squeeze the imaginary golf ball between your elbows and wrap your wrists to the outside of your left hip this time, so that you're opening up the right collarbone from the sternum. Drop your left ear down towards your left shoulder. Direct your frontal hip bones to lift up slightly towards your front ribs, sealing in the bottom of the front ribs so you're not overarching the lower back. Full breath in, widening that right collarbone from the sternum. As you exhale, relax something in your body or your mind. Relax anything as you exhale. Might you be able to relax your scalp 2. Nice. One more deep breath. And release the arms. Once again, roll out the shoulders, maybe in the opposite direction, or shake out the hands. Let's give it another cleansing lion's breath. Gather in a full inhalation. Fill up, fill up. Stick out the tongue, open the eyes and mouth wide. Any sound, let it go. Okay. Side 2. Spread your fingers flat at the top of the mat. Stack the shoulders over your wrists. Stack your hips above your knees. Inhale, stretch the left leg behind you. Turn the hip to face the ground, lifting your chest. Coil it up like cow pose. Exhale, round the back as you press the floor away with your hands, bending left knee towards the belly or your chin. Inhale, extend through the front body. Exhale, contract the belly and round. Inhale, extend through the front body, sliding the shoulder blades down the back. Exhale, contract the belly, spread the shoulder blades apart. Keep going, couple more cycles of breath. When you finish the last contraction, inhale, open the left thigh out and circle it back in. Inhaling, circling, and keep going, and feel free to switch directions several times here. Pace your movement to your breath. Feel your hands. Remember, rather than leaning into the ground, press the ground away from you. So you're not dumping into your wrists and your shoulders. You're creating space in your wrists and in your shoulder joints. A few more cycles of breath, just rolling out the left thigh bone at the hip. Then you might tuck the left toes behind you as you straighten the left leg and begin to rock slowly and gently forward and back, keeping a slight lift of the belly and lengthening the front and back of your neck. Just a gentle dynamic stretch into your left calf. Nice. Set the left knee down. Lean back again. Inhale the arms forward. Bend the elbows like a cactus shape in the arms and roll the shoulders back and down. Look up. And then cross the left elbow on top of the right elbow. Now you could either press the backs of the hands against each other, or if it's possible here, you can wrap your forearms and palms too. Draw your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Sit up a little taller, lift through the back of the skull, and lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders. Gently press your forearms away from your face, and imagine breathing into that space between your shoulder blades, even down into the kidneys, like around the lowest back ribs. Full inhalation, expanding the back of the ribs. Long exhalation, relaxing the muscles between the ribs. As you keep softening your shoulder heads downward and lengthening your neck upward, locate in your mind's eye the area just below your scapula, your shoulder blades. And right there, begin to tilt your chest slightly up towards the sky. Maybe it's just a tiny bit. And continue to press the forearms away from the face. And even though it could be challenging while your arms are in this position, allow your inhalation to also spread both collarbones wider apart. So you're gently broadening the chest, which is in contrast of what this posture is doing, this cow face pose in the arms. Last couple deep breaths. As you might be looking upwards, can you lengthen the back of your neck as well? So you're not completely dropping the skull and straining the back of the neck. Allow another full in-breath, maybe lifting the elbows a little higher from the shoulders now. And then as you exhale, sweep the arms behind you, backstroking, back to that cactus shape in the arms, and then cross the right elbow on top of the left. Either press the backs of your hands against each other or wrap the forearms and palms. Slide both of your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Can you feel that happening? While lifting your elbows up to the height of your shoulders. Press your pelvis downward and lift up the lower spine, the middle spine, the top of the head. Breathe wide across your upper back, especially between the shoulder blades. Common place to have knots, muscular knots from stress. So imagine you can massage that area with a breath. Really relaxing that region as you exhale. Sense the muscles in the face. Can you observe, like an aerial perspective, what's happening in your body right now? Do you have sort of a wider view of your body overall? And I don't mean just physical things that are happening in the body, but energy flowing. Do you sense anything energetically shifting while you're here longer? Okay, trace your attention underneath your shoulder blades. Sit up a little taller through the lower back. And then right under the shoulder blades, see if you might be able to tilt the chest up, but keep relaxing the shoulders down. So sensing your energy, however way it might be shifting. Imagine you can pan out the camera and observe yourself sensing your energy. Observing how you are relating to what you're noticing in the body. Full inhalation. Let the breath expand into the chest a little more too. One more deep breath. Keep the arms as they are. As you breathe in next, see if you might be able to lift the elbows a little higher, maybe above the shoulders. And as you exhale, backstroke both arms. Ooh, didn't realize this is going to be quite a bit of a shoulder stretch class as well. So come back to hands and knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and draw your thighs back. Downward facing dog. Keep the hands still and rotate your outer upper arms towards the ground while pressing the thumbs and the index fingers more firmly into the ground. Send the shoulders back. Drop the head completely. You might shake and nod the head a few times to make sure you're doing that. And bend your knees while you pull your hips further up and further back. Like you're really trying to stretch the back of your spine. Pressing your chest towards your shins. Keep the hips as high as they are or as high as you can. And now start to let the heels sink. Maybe they don't move at all. Maybe they stay lifted. Maybe you bend the knees. Do what you need to cultivate the fullest length in the spine and then firm in the belly slightly. So you're stretching the lower back by doing that. And then let the body be still. Let your gaze relax on one thing, maybe the spot just between the big toes. And listen to 3 more slow breaths. Try to relax into the sound of your breathing. Come back to hands and knees, all fours. Grab your blanket and unfold it so that it's not too thick. I don't know, something like this. Just enough to put some cushion for your inner knees. Like if you were going into frog pose, we're gonna do sort of like a half frog pose. And then take your pillow and place it across the midline or tracing the midline of your mat. Place it on the top of the mat like this. Have the blanket behind the pillow and come down to your hands and knees. From your right hip socket, you might flex the right foot, so you're making sure that you're rotating from the hip, not from the knee. Open your right thigh like it's a door opening to the right, and then place the inner right knee on the blanket. So you might adjust. So if your knee is sticking outside of the mat, you might move the blanket more there so you can make sure you have cushion for that inner right knee. Try to get that knee like a right angle. It can be an acute angle, but not wider than that, not an obtuse angle. And then let your belly rest on the floor. Now you can adjust the pillow and move it further away or closer to you so that you can have it either for your chest, but you don't want to feel like you're overarching the lower back. You might slide it forward so that it's under your forehead so that you can lie face down if you like, breathing here. So make any adjustments so that you're not feeling strain in the lower back. So that adjustment might be to make this a little milder of a hip opener and bend that right knee more to an acute angle, which is less than 90 degrees. Otherwise, if you can keep it 90 degrees, you can do that. Make sure that your right kneecap is pointing to the right in the same direction as your right middle toe. That will help to safely align the right knee. And then here, let the upper body relax, shoulders away from the neck, arms relax. Maybe you make a cactus shape out of the arms where you're not holding yourself up. And I'm gonna start watching the clock now for 3 minutes in this restorative position. Can you come back to the sound rhythm you're creating in your breathing? Observing yourself relate to the breath. If your attention goes somewhere else, notice that. Observe that. Observe what happens inside of you when you notice your attention has gone somewhere else. We're down to just another breath or two here. Leave the props where they are for now and slowly begin to press up to hands and knees, all fours. You might adjust your blanket if you slid it over to the right so that you have space for your inner left knee. And then from your left hip socket, splay open the left thigh. You might flex the left foot to help align the knee safely as you lower the inner knee onto the blanket. See that your left kneecap and your left middle toe are both pointing out to the left wall. And adjust the angle of that left knee bend. If you can, keep it a right angle. If it's straining you, you can bend the knee a little deeper so it's an acute angle. And then adjust the pillow so that it's supporting your forehead or your chest. Feel into your lower back. Really listen if it's straining. You don't want to lift the chest too high, making this a deeper back bend, which is not really what this pose is. And then make any adjustments so that you can relax the arms, relax the shoulders, the whole body, and be still for another 3 minutes here. As you're balancing and lengthening your in and out breaths, what are you noticing in your mind? How is it being affected by this? And we're down to another breath or two. Take your time pressing up, and this time I'm going to invite you into a supported version of Balasana, child's pose. So take that pillow, slide it even closer to you so that you can straddle it. You could be sitting on the pillow, or pelvis can be hanging out behind the pillow as you bring your feet together so your big toes touch. And you could even opt to place more pillows on top or some blankets on top to make this even more cozy. So you're hugging the pillow. You could also use a block underneath your forehead, or you can turn your head to one side. We're going to be here for another 3 minutes in this restorative posture. So make sure that you're comfortable. Your arms can relax forward, out to the sides, down by your legs. What is your attention like right now? Are you able to rest on the subtle sound of your breathing? Do you feel your mind wavering in and out of the present? And just noticing it without judging it. You might imagine the breath expanding into your pelvis like it's a balloon filling with air. And as you breathe out, allowing your pelvis to sink a little deeper back and down towards your heels. Not by pushing the pelvis, not by force, but by just letting go a little more. Letting go of trying to hold the hips up in any way. Letting the lower back muscles relax. And once again, we're down to another breath or two right where you are. And try to move really slowly. Let your head be heavy as you press your hands into the ground. Take your time, slowly lifting your torso up. Set the pillow aside so that you can sit up either on the blanket or directly on your mat. And let the legs come out in front of you. You might bring your hands to your glutes and just sort of move aside the flesh so the sitting bones can root down a little more firmly, and you can lift up from the lower spine up to the crown of the head and stick pose. So sitting up tall, letting the shoulders soften slightly back and melt down as you lift through the back of the skull, broadening your chest. Gently let the belly draw in towards the lower spine. And then bend your right knee here. We're going to set up for a seated spinal twist. Now you can keep the right foot in front of the right hip, or if you can still sit just as tall and keep the pelvis balanced, you can cross the right foot outside of the left knee and maybe even bend the left knee as well. So be honest with yourself and notice what your body's really letting you know it needs to be, where it can get the fullest length in the spine and the breath. And just hold on to your right knee where you are. Keep pressing down the body. So feel the surface below the body. Press into that surface. Remember, like we're pressing down with the hands earlier, and use that to rebound, lifting up through each vertebra of the spine. So imagine you're breathing up the spine and filling up more space between each vertebra, sitting taller and taller as we linger here a little longer. Keep relaxing the shoulders, broadening the collarbones. Imagine you have a book on your head and you're pressing the top of your head into that book as you're pressing the pelvis into the ground. So you feel that lengthening of the spine in both directions. Now backstroke the right arm, lower the fingertips, breathing in. And then exhale as you rotate the rib cage to the right. Breathing in, press down the pelvis, lift up through the crown. Exhale as you continue rotating the rib cage to the right. If you want to add leverage, you can hook the left elbow outside of the right thigh. Just as long as that doesn't cause you to round the shoulders forward, you can still open up the collarbones, slightly lift the sternum, the back of the skull. Letting the twist deepen, breath by breath. You've got just about 30 more seconds on this side of the twist. Next time you breathe out, unwind your spine, and let's bring the right shin to cross on top or in front of the left shin. Root down through the sitting bones again. And if you are able to stack your knees and your ankles, then you're in double pigeon pose. If you're in double pigeon pose, make sure you protect your knees by pressing the mounds of your big toes out towards the side walls, which does not allow you to see the soles of your feet. So you're flexing the feet and pressing the big toe mounds out towards the side walls. And then press the pelvis down, lengthen in both directions of the spine, broaden the chest. Let the chin soften back towards the back of the throat as you relax the shoulders down. And as you breathe out next, just hinge forward a tiny bit from the hips, pausing. When you're breathing in, press down the pelvis, press against the imaginary book on your head. And if you can keep the chest open, keep the neck long in the front especially, then continue to hinge forward. Otherwise, if the back starts to round like this, or the shoulders start to roll forward, or the chin starts to drop to the chest, that's your body saying you went too far. And if you've gone too far, retrace your steps, go back a little more, and find the point at which you can still create that openness, that length in the spine, the shoulders relaxed. So we're here for about a total of 3 minutes before we switch sides in this hip opening posture. You could also, as you're bowing forward, rest your forehead on a block or a stack of blocks, letting your arms relax a little more. What's the flow of your breath like now? Can you still hear it? Let's stay here for another 2 to 3 breaths. And take your time coming up when you're ready. Press your hands into the ground and slowly lift your head, your torso, stretch the legs in front of you. Especially if you were flexing your feet that whole time, you might point your toes to do something the opposite or circle out your feet. How does it feel to unwind from that posture, having only done one side of it so far? What do you notice in the right and the left hips or other parts of the body? And then what do you notice about yourself, how you're relating to what you're noticing in your body? Coming back to that state of observation. And take your time. We're going to set up for the twist first. So keep the right leg straight, flex the right foot, sit up tall, press the pelvis down, bend the left knee, take hold of the knee with both hands, step the foot down, and allow a few breaths to really feel both directions of pressing downward with the body and imagining you have a book on the crown of your head that you're pressing the head into while the shoulders relax down and the chest stays open. And then you can keep the left foot where it is or cross the foot outside the right knee if you can still keep that length in the spine, that groundedness in both sides of the pelvis. You can also bend the right knee. I invite you, if you can, to set up in the same way as you did on the first side of your twist. Then backstroke your left arm, lower the fingertips. Breathing in, sit up a little bit taller. Keep relaxing the shoulders down, breathing out, rotate your rib cage to your left side. Breathing in, press the body into the surface below it and lift up through the back of your skull. Keep the chin relaxed towards the back of the throat here. So the chin is not jutting forward, trying to lead the twist. Exhaling as you keep rotating the rib cage, you might add the leverage of the right elbow hooking outside of the left thigh. Maybe not. Notice how your body responds to the variations you're choosing. And we're here for about 30 more seconds of deep breathing. One more breath. And slowly unwind the torso. But bring your left shin on top or in front of your right shin so that you're either sitting cross-legged or stacking your ankles and your knees. And if the latter, make sure you're flexing the feet in which you're pressing the mounds of your big toes out towards the side walls where you can't see the soles of your feet where you are. Reground your sitting bones, re-lengthen the spine, shoulders relaxed, throat open, chin softening towards the back of the throat. Breathing in here, and just a tiny bit hinge forward as you breathe out from the hips. Lengthen the spine in both directions as you breathe in. If the shoulders or the back do not begin to round, continue to hinge forward. Keep going breath by breath. We'll be here for 3 minutes as well. You might rest your forehead on a stack of blocks or one block so that you can relax the arms. Slowly begin to press your hands into the floor, gently lifting your torso upright. Stretch the legs in front of you. Maybe roll out your feet, point your toes if you were flexing the feet for a while. And anything else that needs to gently move, maybe you circle out the head, the hands, the shoulders, before we set up to rest for a few minutes of Shavasana. Take your time setting up your body in a comfortable position where you can lie down, maybe using as many props to support you or no props at all. And before we let go of doing anything and just rest in stillness, find your Shavasana position, and I'll invite you into one last pranayama while you're there, lying down. So as you arrive in a supine position, take a moment to adjust your body any way you need so that you can be more comfortable. You can promote symmetry in the body, closing the eyes. And I invite you to rest a hand on your upper chest, like around your sternum, your collarbones, and rest another hand below your belly button. Allow a deep breath to fill up, imagine filling up your whole body. Hold the breath in, maybe sip in a little more. If you want to sigh it out and make a sound, feel free, open the mouth, clear it all out. Hold the breath out. Now this time, imagine just breathing into the lowest part of your torso, like your lower belly, lower back. Hold the breath. Breathe into the middle part of your torso, like your side ribs. Hold the breath. Breathe into the upper part of your torso, like your chest, neck, shoulders, upper back. Now, as you hold the breath, relax your body a little bit more. Observe it. Then through your lips, very slowly empty the breath, feeling the body settle a little more. As you come to the very bottom of the exhalation, hold the breath out, observing yourself. Again, 3-part breathing. Inhale into the lowest part of the torso, about 3 counts. Hold the breath. Inhale into the middle of your torso, about 3 counts. Hold the breath. Inhale into the top of your torso, about 3 counts. Now, as you're holding the breath, let the shoulders go, let the jaw relax. About 9 counts, empty the breath through the lips. Hold the breath at the very bottom. Feel that sense of emptiness. And then one more time, inhale into the lowest part of the torso, 3 counts. Pause, inhale into the middle of the torso, 3 counts. Pause, inhale into the top of the torso, 3 counts. Holding the breath, relax the body a little more. See if you can relax the mind as well. And then through your lips, about 9 counts, slowly empty the breath in as gentle of a manner as you can. When you get to the very bottom of the breath, just hold that out for as long as you comfortably can, not straining. Noticing how this feels and how you're relating to how it feels. And then just let go. Let go of doing anything with the breath, doing anything with the body. And allow yourself to just naturally observe your inner state. Shavasana. As you let your body rest in stillness a little longer, what do you notice about your physical body right now? What do you sense? Take your time, start to move small parts of the body really slowly and gently. Like you might softly turn the head and stretch the neck. You might wiggle your fingers, feel the sensations in your hands. Wiggle the toes and feel your feet again. Little by little, waking up your body. As you feel ready, turn over gently to your right side. Let your head rest for a few moments. Sense the breath as it naturally comes and goes. What do you observe about your energy now? Pressing your hands into the earth, begin to lift your body slowly. Finding a comfortable position to sit in meditation for 5 minutes. Continuing the process that we've already begun since the beginning when we've checked in with ourselves, observing. So if you find your mind, your attention that is being restless, you can choose an anchor to rest your attention on. Something that's happening continuously, like the sound of a fan in your background, or the feeling of your pelvis resting on the surface below it, or the feeling of the breath as it naturally flows in and out, or the feeling of your heartbeat, something more subtle. If you're resting your attention on an anchor, such as the ones I mentioned, let the quality of your resting be very soft and gentle and even friendly. And to help that friendly energy, you might slightly smile, just a very subtle smile. So you're not forcing yourself to be attentive. You're not forcing yourself to push away thoughts. There's no forcing involved. There's allowing, relaxing, being. Notice the quality of your attention right now, noticing it without judging it. Notice the state of your heart and mind. So how do you bring your practice to integrate into your daily life? So it's not a compartmentalized thing. I do yoga at this time, I pay attention to my thoughts at this time, and then I live my life. But it's integrated. Maybe find moments to intentionally just be with your meal and observe yourself having your lunch. And just really inviting silence throughout the day. Pauses to pay attention more intentionally. And notice what kind of spaciousness that might bring into your life. What is something that you appreciate now as we bring our practice to a close? You might acknowledge whatever had to come together for you to be enjoying the fruits of your practice right now. Remind yourself what inspired you to practice yoga today. What was your intention that you'll carry forth? Then remember to whom or what you dedicated this practice as we close, chanting Om 3 times. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.